All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I think it's a rainy afternoon. Sorry, there's no windows outside of our office right now. I'm in the underground basement, but yeah, it was drizzling before I got in. Welcome to The Search is Over. It's our webinar on Google search advertising. It's something that Husky Digital and everyone in the team. It's something that we feel very strongly about, and it's something that we thought might be helpful to talk about this afternoon. Yeah, so welcome. For those of you who don't know, my name is Miggy. I'm the managing partner at Husky Digital. We're an inbound marketing agency and we specialize in lead generation for B2B businesses and for e-commerce. So those are primarily the two kinds of clients that we usually work with. Now, feel free to record or take screenshots of the presentation at any time. If there's something that you missed or if there was something that I kind of rushed into, no problem. We always upload the copy of the webinar for you to go over at any time again. But like I mentioned earlier to the first set of participants, your privilege is you get to have the Q&A part. So that we're not going to be publishing. So feel free to ask away. I like to thank everyone again. I super appreciate it every time anyone takes a part of their day to sit down and listen to what we have to present. I know that there's so many things that you could be doing, but you choose to listen to Google advertising. So that takes that takes a unique kind of weirdness. So everyone in this room, I think we all share that we want to be able to learn more instead of doing something else. If you don't know, this is an initiative under the Bounce Back Blueprint campaign that we had launched almost a month ago. The BBB is an easy to follow framework to help you navigate through all of the uncertainty of 2020. It follows the inbound marketing methodology, a topic that we had talked about in great lengths in previous webinars. But basically, it's a set of strategies, guides, and cheat sheets to help you rebuild your marketing efforts for post COVID-19. So I'm sure many of you have started picking up the pace. Like for example, for me, I'm back in the office. I had to run a couple of errands today. A lot of my challenge right now is just looking at my next few months and figuring out how I'm going to rebuild the marketing efforts of my team and of my clients. So that's it's a twofold problem for me. This blueprint we made actually for ourselves and for our clients. So it was like the game plan that we had presented to many of the people that we work with. And then there was a discussion, one meeting, and one thing led to another, and we realized that okay, you know what, this is something that's really helpful for many businesses, and it would be nice to share it. So if you go over to our website and you download the blueprint, you're going to get six things. Number one, you're going to get the customer profile worksheet. You're going to get the Facebook ads worksheet. You're going to get a list of all of our favorite marketing resources. You're going to get a list also of lead magnet ideas. You'll go over our 18 case studies that we prepared around inbound marketing. And we actually had a kickoff presentation or kickoff video happen about a month ago. So you'll also get the PDF version of that. As of today, so we're about to hit 1 month since we launched the campaign this week. And I'm really happy to say that over 260 businesses have already downloaded the blueprint. So this is, really flattering for everyone else in the team. We didn't know that the reception was going to be really, this crazy. And we continue to get downloads and we continue to get attention around this. So if you haven't yet, I highly recommend that you download it. It's 100% free on our website. And it's really fun. It's really fun to do. It makes all of the planning for post COVID-19 a little bit more bearable and a little bit more manageable. So that was the intention, just giving away some of the strategies that we're using, and you're free to take what you need from that blueprint. Yeah, so you can visit the link. My colleague Bianca, I think she provided it. Sorry, I'm not able to see it right now. Yeah, just take what you need, use it, and hopefully it helps you the way it's helped dozens of other businesses so far. All right, so I want to talk about the flow of the webinar just so that we're clear with the expectations. I'm gonna go over about four main points. First one is to talk about why Google is important for your business and how Google search ads usually work. Um, Second, I want to be able to differentiate Facebook advertising and search ads specifically. So a lot of the advice for later, guys, just so that we're clear, is around Google search advertising. So as you're going to learn in the next few slides, Google actually has a ton of products and advertising platforms that you need to be able to learn and go through. But just for this afternoon, we're just going to be talking about Google search ads. Number three, we're going to talk about what you need to run, what you need to start for your Google ads, for your Google advertising. And then we also want to be able to do a quick demo. So I'm a little nervous about this because I don't like it when people watch me work. But I'm going to be broadcasting my screen later, and we're going to start running our Google search ad. So at the very least, you can see it from my perspective, and well, hopefully it inspires you to start running your own search ads after this. Who might need Google search ads right now? Number one, I think B2B business owners are always going to be needing Google search ads. It's an essential, I feel. I can make the argument for almost any kind of B2B business. Google search ads are very, very effective. Second, e-commerce stores also. So I have a case study later about an e-commerce client that we're working on, and then you're going to see how we kind of set up their advertising on Google search and how it's helped them. Third, if you're in the service industry or if you're servicing B2C or B2B in any capacity, I feel like you're also going to benefit from Google search ads. And if you're a marketer with consideration as an objective, so you're trying to get those people who are in the middle of that buying process, they're already kind of exploring. Google search ads, it's definitely a platform worth looking at. A quick take on inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is about putting empathy first, right? It's about delivering the right opportunities to have a positive impact on your customers. It's really not enough to be able to attract people to your website. You have to be able to help them, support them, and empower them well after they become your customer. And that's really what inbound marketing is about. It's about empathetic marketing. It's about timely marketing. It's about being the expert and not hard selling. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we have a ton of resources on on inbound marketing in our previous webinars and on our website. Fair warning, I'd argue that Google is more difficult to master than Facebook. So Facebook, I feel, has done a really good job in simplifying the platform. It has done a really good job in holding advertisers, holding the hands of advertisers and guiding them through that process. Google isn't quite there yet. It's a little complicated. It's really crazy, but it's super fun and super exciting. And I actually find it more fun than running Facebook ads, just by how more complex Google advertising typically is. Right, sorry, I'm just going to quickly. Oh, okay, yeah. When used properly, Google can really become a huge part of what you do moving forward. So, as you're going to see in some of our examples, the impact of Google advertising cannot be denied. And my objective really this afternoon is to inspire you guys to look at Google advertising in a different light and make the investment. Yeah, so it's really a contact sport. Like I say, with any marketing activity, you're going to fail a lot. You're going to have to go through a learning curve, but that's really part of the exercise, being able to go through the motions and learn how to do it. And just try to think of it like this, guys. If it were easy to do, and if it were a sure win all the time, a lot of us would be rich, and we won't need marketing because we're always winning, right? But that's not the case. So this afternoon, I'm really not trying to turn you guys into immediate experts. I really just want you guys to be able not to get caught off guard when you're first setting up your Google Ads or when you're first embarking to set up your Google Ads. I want you guys to be able to have the right expectations and have the right kind of frame of mind before you start. All right, so why Google? I do have a bias, and I'm going to I'm going to explain why. So back in college, this was about what 8 years ago. I was actually one of the first few Google student ambassadors. So I had to apply for it. I got accepted, and they sent me to Indonesia for about a week for training. We learned about Google products. We learned how to bring it back to our school. So yeah, that's where my love affair with Google kind of started. So the seeds were planted, when I used Google search all throughout high school and college. Google search saved my life. But the love affair really just started when I became a Google student ambassador. That 1 year serving that term as an ambassador was really fun. I've come to learn that Google is one of the most powerful tools in the world, and its impact for businesses it's really hard to measure that. As you're going to see in these next few slides, you're going to hopefully realize that you're missing out on this really really powerful platform. If you didn't know, Google owns again a ton of products. They own YouTube, they own Chrome, they have the Gmail, they own Android and Waze. In case you didn't know that, a lot of these tools power their advertising platform to have one seamless and integrated advertising experience. And I'm going to make an argument later as to why I think Google advertising is even more powerful than Facebook. Yeah, but we don't have to talk about all of the products now. We're just going to talk about some of the more popular ones, specifically Google search. So I am willing to bet everyone in this webinar has done a Google search, at the very least this week, if not today. I probably use Google almost every other hour searching for something. And it's really an amazing tool. And I'm pretty sure it's helped you at some point also in your life. But that's not the only platform that's driving their advertising revenue, right? There's actually 5 core platforms that drive that revenue in. So you have the search platform, you have the display network, you have YouTube or video advertising, you have Google Shopping ads, and then you have the mobile app advertising. And you encounter these advertisements every single day. There is not one thing that you do online that isn't touched by a Google advertisement or the Google ad platform one way or another. So just to show you, obviously this is the Google search ad. When you type in something, the first search results that you typically will stumble upon are paid advertisements. And as a business, you're able to do this also, and we're going to show you how in a few minutes. But anyone searching for your keywords or your product or your service, they're able to find you in an instant by having you up here in these ad placements. Google display ads, they're a little clever, but I'm sure you noticed them. These are the ads that follow you around whenever you go to different websites or you visit different pages. So typically, Google display ads are seen on heavy traffic websites. So typically, your media companies like sports, news, political opinions. If you're following influencers, they typically will have Google display ads also. Oh, side note, if you guys didn't know, that's one way that's one way influencers make money. So if you have a blog and you have a lot of traffic coming in, you can apply your website or your blog to Google, and if they accept, you're able to have Google advertisements on your website, very similar to this, and you take a piece of you take a piece of the revenue that they make. So just in case you didn't know, YouTube, yeah. So the advertisement before you play, that's a Google ad. If you don't notice it also, sometimes you will end up clicking an ad on the right side. If you missed out on that yellow tag, you might not notice that also is a Google ad and also there on the top. And there are other YouTube advertising formats also, but I want to be able to talk about that in another, I guess, like in another webinar, because there's just a lot of it. This one's fairly new, and this is actually one of my favorite formats. This is the Google Shopping ad. So if you've ever searched an item that can be purchased on an e-commerce platform, you're able to see it. So let's say, for example, this one, I was searching for chainsaws. Don't ask why. But you have the likes of Lazada and Shopee kind of power that, and you're able to see them there also. Um, you're able to compete with these guys. So I wouldn't be intimidated by the likes of Lazada and Shopee. I mean, like, yeah, they have a lot of money and they're spending heavy on advertisements, but Google Shopping ads is fairly democratic. I would say they give chances to people, so it doesn't, like any paid advertising platform, guys. It doesn't just because you have a big budget doesn't necessarily mean you're always going to be the one present. So there are several other factors that make this happen, but yeah, I wouldn't be intimidated by them. And then last, of course, this is personally my least favorite ones because it tends to be annoying. These are the ads during when you're playing your mobile apps, or if, for example, you have a game and then let's say you lose a life, and you want to be able to continue from where you're at, and then they make you watch an ad. That's typically powered by a Google ad also. There are other providers as well that also allow you to advertise on mobile apps, but by far Google advertising is the Google advertising network is I'd say the most powerful one. So more often than not, the ads that you see in your apps, whether that be the videos or like those small banners, those are almost always a Google ad. Now, in 2019, Facebook made nearly $71 billion in ad revenue, right? So that's across all of their platforms on WhatsApp, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And in that same time frame, though, Google made $133 billion, right? That represents nearly twice the amount that Facebook made. And I also saw this interesting statistic that in the if you consider the entire if you consider the entire amount that was spent on advertising last year, so across everything, billboards, brochures, content, everything, Google took more than 20% of that budget, right? And Facebook, I think they settled with about 12-13% of that total budget. So Google by far is the biggest platform in terms of ad revenue. Um, Many advertisers here in the Philippines, I feel like they have that bias for Facebook because Facebook is more popular here. I have that bias also because it's typically more cost effective. It's easy to use, and we're more of a we're more of a Facebook country than we are a Google country. That's an interesting discussion, really, on privilege and the ability to tap into knowledge and resources. There have been studies where for Google search here, it's really still for people who are looking for knowledge, right, or who are looking for resources. It's not something that a mass market is still able to use. Unlike, for example, Facebook, where you have Facebook free, right? You don't even have to be connected to the internet. So that's a huge reason why Facebook here in the Philippines is still the preferred advertising partner. But just all things considered, in the world, Google is actually leading by a mile. They're in a league of their own, basically. So if you think Mark Zuckerberg is Thanos with how he's acquiring businesses left and right, and how he knows everything about us, it's actually Google. I could make the argument that it's Google that has the control and the power over all of us, and the amount of things that they know about you. Again, maybe for some other talk, it's outstanding. It's outstanding. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's just so many things that they're able to track about you. And I really do believe that Google advertising is the bigger and the wider platform. So what can Google do for me, for you as a business owner, for you as a marketer? And I just want to be able to show some of my favorite numbers. The first one is this. So according to the Google Economic Impact Report, advertisers see an average of about 8x ROI on their Google advertisement. So they did a study on all of the Google advertisers in the US. both micro businesses all the way to the large enterprise, and then they found out that the average mean, the average mean, the average ROI that they were making was about 8x. And I've seen this also with some of the campaigns that we're doing. This is not far fetched for me. This is something that I've also seen and I've also encountered. The Google Display Network, so those banner ads that we keep on talking about, they reach about 90% of the entire internet. So I'm not talking about just the Philippines. I'm talking about the entire online population. So 90% of all of our laptops, desktops, phone screen, mobile screens, 90% of that can be reached by a Google Display ad or or on the Google Display Network. Daily, on average, there are about 3.5 billion searches made. So that's every how to, when to, why, what, where questions that you've ever asked. So if you're like me, where I'm asking Google something almost every other hour, we contribute to this number, which is it's crazy to think about. I can't I have such a hard time thinking of like 100 questions to ask, and then if you imagine 3.5 billion happening every day, it's just crazy. 72% of people who do make a search have visited or contacted a local business. So, I mean, obviously, prior to the COVID situation, the habits that Google was seeing was that 7 out of 10 times when someone searches for a product or a service, they end up visiting a business that they had discovered or calling or making contact. And if you again just look at your own researching behaviors, I'm pretty sure that has happened to you in the past, where you have like I call them search binges, where you're just searching and you're looking through blog after blog, page after page, and eventually you make a decision. Yeah, you contribute to this number. And then last, 63% of YouTube video watchers, according to their study, have been were influenced by an advertisement or a piece of content that they saw, and they were influenced to make a purchase or make a decision, or to take action. So, very convincing numbers, and the impact again is real. I feel very strongly about this because in my line of work, I see the impact for my clients every single day. So I want to be able to share 2 case studies with you. Sorry, this is going to look a little weird, but this is real. This isn't Photoshop by any chance. So this is client number one. So client number one, they're a fashion brand here in the Philippines, and we've been working with them for a while. So what you're looking at is the overview of our Google advertising from January 15 to March 31, just before the lockdown happened. And if you guys notice on the panel, we had spent about 45, you can round it up to 45,000 pesos on Google advertising. And then we generated a conversion value of at least 305,000 pesos. So that's the blue tab on your left. We're paying about 2.57 pesos per click, and we generated over 300,000 pesos in sales. This is just for Google advertising alone. So we also have Facebook advertising here. Yeah, sorry if you noticed that there. So about 45,000 spend, and we converted a total of about 300,000 pesos. So that's really good. That's a really good ROI. And I want to be able to show. So this is one of the campaigns that we ran underneath that. So this was even more impressive. We spent about 10,000 pesos for this one, and we generated a conversion value of about 256,000 pesos, which is again, it's really great for an e-commerce client. And what we really like about Google advertising is that I'm able to see the nuances that I'm not able to see in my other marketing channels. So for example, in this regard, I'm able to see, okay, the biggest driver of my sales is actually my 25 to 34-year-old market. And that's good validation for me because that's really our target market. We're targeting young female professionals, and this is really their bracket. So if you guys notice, 4,000 pesos was spent on this group, and it generated nearly 120,000 pesos in sales. So if you can take a look at that, that's about 78 conversions total. And I'm also able to see the keywords that we bid for, and how it converts into certain click-through rates. So if you were in some of our previous talks, I did mention that in terms of click-through rates, you're looking about 1 to 5% on average. But here, at some point we were doing 23% or 39% click-through rate, which again is uh, a little unbelievable when you start thinking about it. But we've been working on this account for quite some time now, and we're not so surprised with the results because we really put the work in to grow this account. All right, so this is another example. Very recently, so this is one of our clients based out of in Europe. So if you notice, we were spending euros. We spent nearly 8,000 euros. That's a lot of money. I actually don't know what the conversion rate is. I think it's 50 or 55 pesos per euro. But yeah, it's about almost 8,000 euros. And if you guys notice, we converted nearly 732 people, and we brought them to the sale of this client. And again, because of the complexity of Google advertising, we're able to see all of these insights and look at all of these data. So the one on the left, you're looking at audiences. These are people who, which I'll explain in a bit in a few slides, but these are people who are interested in these kinds of topics. So as you noticed, it's investment services, credit cards, people who are looking at credit cards, people who are avid investors, etc. And I'm able to see which topics have been converting the most for us. And again, if you look at the view rate, I'm also able to see how many of them are really looking at my videos. And so for me, Google is really the largest business directory in the world. Every business or every solution that you are looking for, every service that you're looking for, there's almost always a Google entry for that. It's the widest billboard. It can reach 90% of the entire online space. So you're talking every desktop, laptop, and mobile phone. It's able to reach, and it's also the most trusted advisor. I don't know about you guys, but I've made searches on Google where it's only just between me and Google. I've asked some really weird questions about weird stuff that I'm afraid to ask other people. But for Google, I trust them, and they give me the answers that I want. So it's for many of us, it's our trusted advisor. So that's also worth mentioning. And so for me, like I mentioned earlier, it's the most powerful advertising platform in the world. It's not even close. And what you're about to realize in these next few slides is that if you want to grow your business and you want to take it to a certain level, Google advertising is going to come into the picture. I like to say that Google advertising is inevitable if you want to be able to hit a certain level of your business. And typically, one of their advertising platforms help you get to that next level. And Google search is one of the most popular ones, the popular ways to do that. Okay, so before we talk about Google search and how to set that up, I just want to be able to make the distinction between Facebook ads and Google search ads, because I find myself having to make that argument very, very often. So when I'm talking to a client or a prospect, they always ask me, okay, like, but do we do Facebook ads? Do we do Google ads? Do we do both? Like, so what are the difference? What are the differences? And I think understanding how they operate at a fundamental level helps you understand better, which platform you want to advertise on. So what you have to know here, guys, is that platforms are defined by their intentions of people. What are people hoping to achieve on the platform? Like, what are they doing on the platform? And I think by always keeping this in mind, it becomes easier to make that distinction between where and when you should start advertising on social or on search. Social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, this is for discovery. We're on this platform to connect, to discover, to learn, and to entertain ourselves. We're typically not on the platform to make a purchase. That's not to say that purchases don't happen on Facebook. But more often than not, we don't log into Facebook with the intention of, okay, today I'm going to purchase something. That's not usually how it works. We're on Facebook again to connect, to entertain ourselves. We're bored. We're stuck in traffic. We're waiting for something to do, and then we go on Facebook for that. So we're not in buying mode. We're not in searching mode. Google is I wouldn't say the opposite. Google is another alternative. Search platforms like Google is for answers. We have an itch to scratch. We have questions that need answers, and that's where the differences lie, because it becomes a matter of demand generation and demand fulfillment. Okay, so keep tabs on that on these terms. I think this is the fundamental difference. On social media, as a marketer or as a business, you generate demand. You plant ideas, right? You nudge people to take action. It's kind of like Inception, where you want to be able to put a piece of content out there. You want to be able to have a nice copy that kind of gets them to think about your product or your business and make them realize, oh yeah, I have this problem, or yeah, that's me, or yeah, I was just looking for this. Okay, so that's the idea, that you're planting ideas, and you're generating that demand, by putting yourselves in a spot where they get to think about you. Google, on the other hand, on search platforms, on the other hand, rather, you fulfill demand. These are people who are already looking for your product or service. They might not necessarily know what the answer is yet, but there was something that nudged them. They are already looking for an answer to their problems, and that's what search platforms do. So simply put, social platforms help you find new customers, and search platforms help new customers find you. Okay, so that's the fundamental difference. So let me repeat that. Social helps you find new customers. You plant the idea in their minds. You introduce yourself in a friendly way, and you get them thinking about your product or your business. Search, on the other hand, uh, puts you in the trajectory, or the search binges of people who already have that itch. So they already kind of realize, what, I have this problem. I don't know if there's a solution to it. Let me Google search it, and that's where they end up looking at your business. Now there's merit with starting on either platform. So if you're just starting out with your paid advertising, there's an argument to be made with starting on Facebook and starting on Google. There is no real right answer to that. It's always going to depend on your objectives. But just for I guess, like, some bit of guidance, this is typically what we recommend for our clients. So Google search ads are typically in the middle of that journey, where it's more warm. For the traffic there is usually, yeah, more warm. These are people who are already kind of looking for your product or your business, and we just want to be present when they're doing that. But Facebook, though, because it's really easy to use and it's extremely powerful, you're able to advertise throughout that whole spectrum. All right, so what do you need to start if you want to be able to do your Google advertising? You only really just need 5 things. So the first one is a fully functional website. So I feel like this is where Facebook has the advantage, because on Facebook, you don't need a website. You just need a Facebook page to start advertising. But on Google advertising, you need to have your own website. You'll have to provide at least one landing page on a domain that is yours. So I would say that's one of the caveats of advertising on Google. You're really going to have your own website. Second, you're going to have to do foundational SEO work on your website. So that includes picking the right headers, so the title tags on your website, having the right ones there. Updating your meta tags, so those are the short descriptions whenever you're viewing a website, and making sure that your website is mobile optimized. Those are some of the foundational things that you need to do. And yeah, for many business owners, especially if you're working for a small team, this is an additional set of deliverables that you're going to have to provide, to get the ball rolling. You have to install Google Ads and Google Analytics. So in our previous webinar last week, we talked about the importance of this. And if you're gonna if you're going to do Google advertising, you're going to have both again installed. You'll have to do some keyword research. We're going to tackle this a little bit later on, but yeah, part of the exercise is figuring out which keywords are your customers using to look for either you or your competitors, and using that to your advantage. And then lastly, of course, you're going to have to plan out your objectives and do some sort of forecasting. It's really easy to burn money on Google if you don't know what you're doing. If you come into the situation without a plan. So you really need to make sure that your objectives are ironed out, and you're able to better gauge how much you're going to be spending on Google advertising. All right, so this is, well, my least awaited part because I'm going to show you how I set up Google search ads. So I'm gonna just exit my screen here. This is what this is what the dashboard of Google advertising, the Google advertising platform looks like. So as I mentioned, very well, it looks intimidating, but in reality, it's easy to use. So like I was saying earlier, you're just going to click new campaign to start your new advertising campaign. And you're going to again optimize it based on the objective that you had set. So you're going to choose sales, leads, website traffic, brand consideration based on what you need at the moment. And like I had said earlier, you can't expect the same amount of results for each step. So if you're optimizing for website traffic, you're going to probably get more clicks here. You're going to get more visits to your website. But if you're optimizing it for sales, you can kind of bank on the fact that you'll probably convert more sales than you are doing with website traffic. Right. So for this example, we'll click website traffic, and then it's all integrated already. So you get to choose which kinds of ads you want to run. So your search ads, this is your standard one. You have your display ads across the display network, the shopping ads that we had talked about earlier, video ads across YouTube channels or across the YouTube platform, and discovery ads. So you have this on YouTube. If you've ever noticed those advertisements on your Gmail accounts, those small tabs that you see at the top, those are typically discovery ads also. So in this example, I'm going to use Google search ads. And so I choose that. I'm going to put my website. So it's heyitsmig.com, and I'm going to continue. All right, so I'm going to name my campaign. Let's say test 2. Okay. Then I immediately get to choose my networks. So more often than not, you want to be able to have obviously the search network, because these are where all of the searching happens. But you could also choose the display network. So I don't know if you've ever noticed that, guys, but Google has integrated search ads in websites on different levels. So when you are on a website, you'll either see display ads on the side, on the right or at the top, or sometimes you're going to see like a small text ad on the right side also. So it's typically with a display ad. So that's typically a Google search ad that you're able to connect here. So if I just wanted to appear in the search network, I will just click that. So I'm just going to have it here in the search network. Just to show you some of the other settings. So obviously you can set the date when you want it to start, or when you want it to end. And you're able to do dynamic tracking also. So very simply put, if you have certain parameters you want to track, for example, where they came from or which ad creative you use, you can use this, but that's for a different time, a different topic. Okay, key here, obviously your locations. You can choose the entire world. You can choose the Philippines if you're just advertising here, or you can choose very specific places. So for example, you can search Metro Manila, and that should appear here. And then you'll be able to see also what's the potential reach of people on the platform. You're also able to choose if you want to include people or exclude people. So if there are certain locations that you really want to make sure that they don't see the ads, you could just add that here. But more often than not, this works already. Okay. Languages, obviously, you choose which one you want. I know that there's Filipino here. Yeah, there's Filipino here. You can choose that if you want also. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you guys, the audiences part. This is what I feel is the money maker. So, much like the advertising ability of Facebook, you're able to target people who are, in certain places in their lives. So, what Facebook has in terms of targeting is really based on interest and interaction with online content. But for Google advertising, because you do a lot of your researching and you do a lot of your consumption of content on Chrome, for example, they're able to know a lot of things about you as well. So just to show you, you have essentially 5 options in terms of audiences. So when you look at the demographics, this is what you're able to get. They are able to track also, or they're able to guess based on their algorithm if you're a parent of an infant, if you have preschoolers or teens. Yeah, so we can click that, for example. They're able to find out also if you're single, in a relationship, or if you're married. They're able to kind of guess also your educational status, and of course your home ownership also, if you've if you've ever shown that kind of inclination. So they kind of get to figure that out. um the biggest options here are two. So you have the affinity audience and the in-market audience. So affinity audiences, very simply put, these are people who have been interested in a topic or an activity for a really, really long time. So, for example, I would be categorized in the affinity market for basketball because I consume a ton of basketball content. I watch a lot of basketball highlights on YouTube. I read a lot of articles that I see on the internet. I would be categorized as an affinity market because I've had a long withstanding interest in the topic. Now, in market, these are the equivalent of people who suddenly have those bursts of researching, right? So again, if you've ever done research on like a restaurant or a piece of software or a hotel or a service, right? If, for example, you're in the market for a digital marketing agency, you're probably not going to spend just one day searching. You're going to have like a period of consecutive days, or every other day you're searching for something. And Facebook, Google is able to figure that out. So because they start to see that, okay, he's bouncing around from page to page around the same topic, they put you in an in-market audience. So you don't stay in this in-market audience for long. Now, sorry, I don't know when that time frame is, like, or when that cutoff is, but yeah, they're able to see that surge in activity. Remarketing audiences, really simple. So people who've gone to your website, people who watch your YouTube videos, you're also able to retarget them. The same way that you're able to retarget on Facebook. And very similarly, also you can upload a database of your customers, and you're able to do that. And your audiences, these are just like the weird combinations that you have. So if you want people who engage with you this and they also search that, you can combine them and then have a combined audience. So I just want to show you some of the affinity audiences and some of the things you can kind of choose. So, and for example, if you're an avid investor, these are probably people who they read up a lot on news on the stocks. They follow certain influencers. Yeah, here, people who actively invest their money, follow financial markets, and regularly read financial business news. And so you're able to track that. Beauty and wellness, you're even able to target people who frequently visit salons. Avid news readers, you're able to see that here. And so if it's the local news, political news, world news, you're able to see that. Sports and fitness, and here this is me, basketball fans. I'm definitely in this category. And if there are other categories you want to be able to target, it's all here as well. Technology, travel, if you're a travel buff, where you typically go, and then vehicle and transportation. So if you're an auto enthusiast and if you have been research, or if you've been following certain kinds of transportation modes. I can't seem to click that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's really cool. But my personal favorite is the in-market audience because these are my warmer markets, right? So when I'm advertising a product or a service, and I'm putting money on Google search, I typically want to target people who have that itch already. So when I'm planning out my strategy for my clients, we typically are biased towards investing Google search ads to warmer audiences, just because that's where we feel like our money is best used. So um, we don't like investing in brand awareness or like top of the funnel traffic. We like some of that warmer audiences, and those are your in market audiences. So same thing. So if they're typically looking through apparel and accessories, you're able to target them. Autos and vehicles, it's really comprehensive. Yeah. So for example, here when I'm servicing B2B clients, we would typically use the business services in market audience and choose one of the ones here. So you have a ton to go over. Yeah, one of the I'd say freakier examples are employment. So if you're you're looking for a job and you want to be able to sell a job opportunity or a search platform for jobs, you're able to do that here as well. Financial service. Oops, I can't need to click that. Financial services. This is one of my favorite ones also. Is I don't know, for some reason I've dealt with a lot of businesses where we were targeting people in this space. So yeah, I think I made my point. Just tons of people to look for, and you're able to target a lot of them. So you're not just stuck with choosing one or two. You can target a few. So what I would like to do is like I will pick a core of about 8 to 10, and I will let it run, and then the winning topics, or the winning audiences, those will typically get the bulk of the advertising. We'll move them to a different campaign, and then we'll keep on experimenting. So yeah, that's what we like to do. Then you get to choose your budget. So I'll show you how you can kind of compete for that in a bit. You want to be able to optimize for the the objective that you had mentioned. So in this case, it's a conversion, meaning we bring them to the website. So that's my equivalent of a conversion. Just getting them to the website is important to me, right? And some additional settings if you want to be able to check that out, also in terms of scheduling and rotations. Now, this is the example that I wanted to show you. Google has this really cool feature called extensions, add extensions, and they're really powerful stuff. So site link extensions, you might not have ever noticed them, or you might not know that this is what they're called, but they're really powerful stuff. So yeah, according to them, 15% higher click-through rate is expected, by having more information on your website. So I have an example here for you. So when I search HR payroll, I have an ad from Salarium. And if you've ever clicked on these links, these are the site link extensions. So it's really great because before, if for example, for this payday.ph, because they're not in the top spot here, if they had site link extensions, they were not triggered, at least in this instance. And I can only really just go to their main website. But Solarium, because they have the site link extensions triggered, or it triggered on my search, I'm able to look at more specific parts of their website. So this is I'd say a practical example of how to apply inbound marketing. How to be helpful. Um, you imagine yourself in the position of your customer, and you realize that, okay, um, what are some of the things that I could do to just make the experience easier for them, that they're probably searching for something, and how do I make it easy? So in this instance, Solarium, I think they did the right thing, and they had these examples, right? They had these site link extensions up. So I think I have a couple of examples here. Yeah, so for example, when you search office lease, SpaceWorks come up, and they have these examples here. Yeah, I searched also here just to get these triggered. So yeah, those are site link extensions. Now, if you're wondering why it says disapprove, is because when you click new site link extension and then you name it, let's say for example, YouTube video, YouTube YouTube videos. And then you put your link, heyitsmig.com/YouTube, right? When you have that, warning come up. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna complete that. Just to give you an example, I got rejected here, or it wasn't. It was disapproved because I actually don't have this link on my website. So my website right now it's a one pager. If you want the site link extensions very similar to this one, it has to go to a different page. So in this case, it goes to salarium.com/payroll, right? So that's what happens when you click that. Yeah, so you're gonna wanna have different pages, but again, this is good practice, and you're able to add quite a number of them. And then what you do is you pick the ones that you like, and then that's what ends up having being shown with your advertisements also. Okay, call out extensions. Now this is funny because I couldn't find an example of it. It's one of those things where I'm trying to make an example of an ad that I see usually, and I'm trying to trigger it, and I can't find it. But just to show you what it looks like. So when you click some of the extensions that I had made here, and you click preview, this is what it looks like. So in a test ad, it's that small line where you have short phrases about your business or your product. So you could do many things here. So for example, you could say 10% off until June. Oops, until June. You can say discounts every day. You could say easy to reach. Anything that you want to be able to kind of highlight about your business. So again, you'll pick at least two. So in this instance, I picked 7, and then Google will just rotate them around. So you want to make sure that it will make sense to be able to be able to have out there. And then last, it's the call extension. So this is where you get to put a number. You can put a landline. You can put your cell phone number, and people are able to contact you right away. So in this instance, for example, like, again, Salarium, you have their phone number right here, and you're able to call them right away. So without even going to the website, if you really just want to make that call, that's readily available for you already. And so you can add that. So you add that there. Now, there are a ton actually of other extensions here that I won't be able to go through it now, but this is what makes Google advertising really interesting also specifically search ads. This is what makes them a very dynamic platform. So you have all of these examples here that you can kind of check out on your own. And so when you, oops, sorry, I forgot to put the budget. I'm going to say 250 pesos. I'm balling. Put that up. That should load. There we go. And then you're brought into this section where you create ad groups based on keywords. Now remember here, guys, Google search is a game of keywords, meaning you're trying to figure out what search terms are your customers using to be able to find your product or your service. Okay, so that's the game. Just for your reference, there are 3 kinds of keywords that you need to be able to take note of. There are actually a few more, but the more popular ones are here. You have your broad match, your phrase match, and then your exact match. I won't go into full detail with some of the nuances because there are a couple of rules that apply here. But just so that you guys understand how it works. So when I type in an exact match, so let's say I want people who search black t-shirts, right? And I'm going to make that an exact match. So by putting in these brackets here, that means my advertisements are only going to get triggered by people who search exactly black t-shirts. It won't search for anything else, just black t-shirts, if this is exactly what I want to be able to target. So let's say, for example, I want to target, white shoes, people who search white shoes in Makati. Right? So I search white sneakers, Makati. When I put those brackets, I'm telling Google, I only want to appear when people search exactly this phrase. Okay, so exactly this one. So that's a strategy that you have. Phrase match, on the other hand, is when you put the this one. I forgot what you call them. When you tag it like that. So in the same example, when you put in the black t-shirts and then you tag it like that, you're telling Google that I want this specific phrase in any search result. So for example, if they search black t-shirts in the first example here, so let me just divide that. In this first example, I will only appear when I get when this is the search term, nothing else. But if this is how it's typed, I will appear in many other instances. So if people end up searching, for example, black shirts in Makati or black shirts in Manila or black shirts for men, because I didn't tag anything else, I just said that okay, like I just want to appear in this phrase. I'm gonna have my advertisements come up there. And then lastly is the broad match. So when you search black shirts, you're telling Google that it's okay to match me with other things. So, sorry, black t-shirts rather. So whenever someone search, sorry, that was the example. When people end up searching black shirt or black clothes or black tops, because shirt is near t-shirts, clothes and tops is also very similar to the word t-shirts. I'm telling Google that they're allowed to show my ads in those instances. Yeah, so again, these are just the three kinds. There are, I think, a total of 6 kinds of keyword combinations that you could use. But these are the more general ones that you want to be able to take advantage of. Yeah, so picking out those keywords are really important, and how you're able to do that. So let's say, for example, okay, Miggy, I want to be able to find out what people are searching. Like, how do I do that? You could do that through the keyword planner. So yeah, let me load this up again. The keyword planner is when you go here to the tools and settings, you're going to have here in the planning section, you're going to have a nice tool here called the keyword planner. And it's Google's really, I'd say, very intuitive and very fun tool to use to be able to gauge which keywords to bid for and how much it's going to cost. So um, throughout the entire lifetime of Google, they're able to capture all of this data, and they have been able to more or less gauge how much it's going to cost you on average to bid for certain keywords. So on the keyword planner, you're able to do two things. You're able to discover sets of keywords based on keywords that you might already have, or you're able to get volume of activity. So just in this instance, I'll show you what it looks like when you try to discover keywords. So let's say, for example, I'm setting up advertisements for Huskee. So obviously, I want people who are searching for digital marketing agency. And let's just use my normal domain. Right, so I'm gonna click get results. And then Google is going to give me the trends of the last 12 months by default. And I'm able to see keyword ideas that Google recommends. So in my advertisement here, in my ad group here, this is where I put those keywords in. So yeah, so if I want to be able to bid for the word, for example, marketing agency, if you guys notice, the competition is low, meaning not a lot of people are bidding just for this specific keyword. And it's probably going to cost me about 10 to 56 pesos on average to bid for this keyword. Meaning, on average, my clicks, if someone clicks on my ad, it will cost me about 10 to about 56 pesos on average. If you want to be able to look at the more competitive keywords, just have to click competition here, and you're able to see it there. People bidding and how much these very specific keywords cost. So let's look at the most expensive one. Yeah, so this is the most expensive one. Content marketing agency as a keyword. If I want to have this, I have to be willing to pay on average at the top about 250 pesos per click. So every time someone clicks on my ad, it's about 250 pesos already. Yeah, It's crazy, it's expensive, diba? But this is where again the value of the platform comes in. Like people who are searching these keywords, more often than not, they're not doing the research. They're in market typically, right, for businesses like yours, or they're looking at the very least. So that's what you're paying for. The fact that they're looking, they're doing research. It's not cold traffic. It's arguably warmer than other platforms. Yeah, so you can get a bunch of these keywords. You plug them in here in varying capacities depending on your strategy here. Or what I would like to do is sometimes I just like to plug in. Let's say I'm my own competitor. I will plug in my keyword my website here, and then I will let Google decide which keywords work best. So for example, for this website, they kind of figure out, oh, you know what, Miggy, inbound marketing agency seems like a really good idea. Let's do that. You could just add as you see fit. This works really well for competitors. So let's use Salarium as an example. You might be wondering why I keep on using Salarium. Just full disclosure, they're not my client, but the owner is a good friend, and I'm a fan. So I just like and of course, like they appeared first when I searched HR payroll. So look what I'm doing here, guys. I'm getting a page on the website, very specific page. I'm putting it here on the keywords idea tab, and then I'm letting Google's kind of choose through all of the words that they have here, and letting them choose it for me. And so I can click all of that. Yeah, so yeah, choosing that's really simple. Yeah, so once I pick those keywords that make the most sense to me, I'm gonna save, and I'm gonna move on to creating the advertisements. So what's nice about the Google format here on the search ads is they have the ability to put two headlines here. So let's say my value proposition here. Excuse me. Yeah, you're able to put that over there. The thing to kind of note here is sometimes they're not going to show. Actually, thank you. Sometimes they're not going to show headline number 3. So you want to make sure that if you're writing your headlines, you're able to just get your point across in number 1 and 2, because sometimes your USP number 3 or your point number 3 won't even be seen, or it's going to be cut for one reason or another. Then you'll have a short description here. You want to just be able to explain your product or your business. You have only 90 characters to work with, so that's not a lot of space to be able to describe what you do. So just make sure that you're using the right words to describe your business. Now, when I'm trying to write ad copy, I always like looking at examples, and I'm trying to put myself in the position of my customers. So let's look at this example where I searched for office lease. You see all of these ads here. Obviously, these are companies that could service me, right? Spaceworks, Regius, Easy Offices. These are businesses in that space. Now, imagine yourself as a user, right? As a customer. What would make me wanna click these when they all kind of look the same, right? And that's the logic that I always kind of share with our clients, where when we provide a set of copy and it seems a little outrageous, the usual comment or feedback is like, oh, it doesn't look like the usual ad. And that's usually our point, that in a sea of all of these advertisements, we're not going to stand out. And if you were in my previous talk, we were talking about how the job of your pay-per-click ad is just to sell the click. I'm not trying to sell the product when they get to this to the search page. I just need them, to convince them enough to click my website. So you wanna be able to just be a little bit outrageous here. If you could be a little bit more specific or witty or clever, that would really benefit you. So thinking of ways to be able to do that, I think, is super important. Just because, again, just look at this example. So here, let's look at the rent a car. If you're all using the same keywords, and let's say, for example, this is the first time that I've ever come across your brand. I don't know the differences between Car Flexi and Apex Rentals or budget.com.au, right? None of these companies make a lot of sense to me. I need to be able to help myself stand out. And I'm not going to stand out if I'm saying the same things that other people are saying. So with your ad groups, you want to be able to just stand out enough that you're able to sell the click. That's the most important bit. Yeah. So you finish up your ad, and then you want to be able to create a second batch. Our gauge is usually 3 to 5 variations per ad group. So if, for example, in this ad group, I'm trying to reach people who search for a variation of keyword A, B, C. So the combination of those 3 keywords. I want those on my ads, and I'm going to make a variation that Google can kind of test out. They recommend 3 to 5. You can go more, you can go less. That's okay, but 3 to 5 usually is the 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 sweet spot in terms of testing. So you can test out different value propositions. You can test out different call to actions. It's always good to be able to test it out. So yeah, so let's just fill this up. Hey, you click my ad. All right, so you save and continue. Oh, sorry. It's marketing. Sorry, forgot to fill this up. Oops. Let's click this one again. Yeah, so after you fill that up, it should be okay. The value is too short. Huh, okay. Hey, it's marketing. This is my website. Please check it out. Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna post that. Yeah, should be okay. Sorry, I don't. Oops, what the heck? Yeah, sorry. I'm just gonna move on to my example. Yeah, this is why I don't like people watching me when I when I create my ads. I'm usually better than this. Don't worry. So I'm just trying to show you guys what it looks like. Yeah, and then after you set that up, you let it run. In my instance here, it's not going to run because I haven't finished setting up my payment methods yet. But after a few minutes, it should run, and you're able to see all of the information that you need over here. Yeah, so that's it for the demo. Now, if you're a little bit confused, that's okay. It's fine to be confused. Google is, again, very complex, and they have all of these different, how it looks like for Google search ads doesn't necessarily mean it's the same for their YouTube and their shopping ads. It looks a little bit different. So yeah, it changes, and it's a little confusing, but once you get the hang of it, and once you start kind of looking at it every single day, it becomes easier to manage. So last tip that I want to be able to share, you want to be able to install Google Analytics. All the insights that you need are there, and you're able to see information like this. So the number of users you get, the sessions that you're generating. If you look at the audience bit, you get to see all of the you get to see the users and the sessions that they're generating also. You get to see where your traffic is coming from. Yeah, so behavior, the conversions that you're generating, and you're able to break it down. So like I mentioned in a previous webinar, you get all of this information. It helps you kind of gauge better, where you should make your investments and where you should put your effort in. Yeah. So Last part, we actually have this available on our website. So we made, I think it was a couple of months ago. We made what we call it the Google Ad Survival Guide. It's basically 3 ebooks filled with Google advertising goodness. If you want to be able to start on search ads, we have a little bit more information there that you can kind of consume if you want to be able to learn more about the platform of Google. You have 3 ebooks that you can go over. So some of the basics of Google advertising, we tackled it in the first ebook. In the second one, we talked about case studies. And the third one, we gave some of our recommendations of keywords that you could use also in your advertisement. So that's free to take on our website. You can get that anytime. And yeah, if you want to be able to start, I think this is a good place to be in. Okay, so last word on inbound marketing. We're already feeling the effect of this pandemic, and I'm sure you're in a situation now where you're trying to make up for lost time and you're trying to get back what you had lost in terms of revenue and opportunities. And in that instance where you're chasing, it's so easy to be selfish. But really, this is not the time to be selfish. This is the time to rebuild and to find solutions. And if you can be more value adding for yourself and for your business, yeah, that tends to work out for you in the long run. And that's really what inbound marketing is all about: building relationships now and making sure it's a win-win for you and your customers. Okay, so just to end, I want to be able to share this last quote. Empathy is going to be your greatest strength as a marketer, and you have to be able to put yourself in a situation where you're giving before you take. Okay, so don't ask from customers. If you're able to give value, demonstrate that you know what you're doing before you ask for anything. I think that puts you in a position to succeed in the long run. Okay, so as usual, thank you for sticking through. Send us a WOOF anytime if you need any help. You can look at more of our content on our website, or you could reach out to us at woof@huskeedigital.com if you have any questions.